EA Sports and the United States Golf Association are proud to present a national championship. Today, it's live third-round coverage of the U.S. Open Championship. Can't ask for much more here at the 7th. He has hit a good one. Second shot here at the par 4 7th. Seems to like it. Headed for the fat part of the green. And it generates some momentum here at the 7th hole. This for birdie. Now this for birdie came away with par in the previous round. Frank, we haven't seen a whole lot of that, but no doubt it feels good. U.S. Opens, Frank, as you well know, you've played in so many of them, are supposed to be demanding and tough. This is what a U.S. Open's all about. A par 3 at nearly 300 yards. That's the 8th at Oakmont.
It's not just the length, too, but this is a typical Oakmont green, which means it's not easy. There is an option, though, if you can't reach this green, or at least fly it on, you might get a lucky bounce to kick forward. You'll see a lot of people chipping from around the front edge of this green, and there's no shame in that.
Not quite what he was hoping for. The tee shot in the bunker. Now from the bunker.
Yeah, just a little splash out on this par 3.
It's in the hole. Just a sensational shot right there. Frank, the par 3 8th, it will take a player's very best strike.
Yeah, it's not often you see the odd driver come out of the bag, but when a hole can be stretched out to close to 300 yards, then everybody in the field needs some heavy artillery. It's a big, long par 3. Green does feed a little bit to the left, but at that distance, no hole is easy.
That's an absolute tracer right there. In the fairway and well over 320 yards. I think this one looks like it might have a postage stamp on it. Airmail City.
Yeah, lick it, send it.
Wow, lucky break right there, Frank.
Well, That's what everyone else is going to say, except him.
Been a little too much of that, Frank, just sort of ho-hum pars. Take a look now at the 10th hole, Frank. Par 4, 462 yards.
Yeah, this one can play a lot of different distances. And the reason why is if you can sneak a driver to catch the downslope, it can run all the way down. You can have just a wedge in here. If you're not as fortunate and you leave it hanging up on that hill, it plays a good 200 yards for your second.
Right where they were aiming, in the fairway. Frank, what's this approach shot look like here at the 10th?
Another one you're trying to gauge what the ball's going to do when it hits the ground. If this hits the ground on the front of this green, then there's a good chance, believe it or not, it might stay on. Now, you think I'm joking? But you hit one there a little low that catches that front right corner. More often than not, it finishes on the back left.
Oh, can't hide the flagstick from that man.
So a tester from 4 feet.
Makes the putt for a birdie. Par 4 11th is 379 yards as we continue backside here at the U.S. Open at Oakmont. Frank, what's the strategy off the tee here?
You're hitting something that goes about 240, 250 yards maximum, hopefully keeping it out of that right rough. And the reason why that right rough is certainly to be avoided is that big gaping bunker at the front of the screen. Green's perched up a little bit, so this is another one where if you can hit an iron or a utility club off the tee, you must find the fairway.
Well, he's going to have to hit the same club a lot harder or just hit another one.
This looks like it's going to find the target.
Certainly had enough power, just didn't have any touch. Frank, a little chip shot here from the fringe. Now, a lot of options. I've seen some players hit 6-iron, others will shut down like a sand wedge.
Yeah, there's two schools of thought. Some people just try and perfect like one club, but really the best chippers chip with a variety of clubs. Oh, that was solid, Rich. This one's safely on.
Shouldn't be a problem here.
Wow, that was so close, Frank.
Just time to forget that one. I mean, he couldn't hit that much better.
Locked in on the read and the speed.
Frank, this has been an absolute mess today and all week long.
You said it best.
We are at the par 5 12th here at Oakmont. This is a big par 5 at 667 yards. Nice drive, right in the fairway, and a good swing on that one.
Okay, the second shot now at this par 5.
Oh, looked like you caught a flyer right there, Frank.
Well, I don't know what he caught, but this is way too much.
Just averted danger right there. So close.
Why does he have all the luck?
A good 20-footer here.
Fine. Something happens, that's good.
That's a nice shot right there. So through 3 rounds, just outside the top 10, what kind of a chance do you give a player who is sitting outside the first 10?
Yeah, it's slim. I certainly would not say none, though, Rich. You know, we've countless times over the years seen someone post an early one in and watch the leaders crumble at the end. Good opportunity tomorrow. Put a good round on the board and then just sit back and wait. And then remember, there's also the chance of a playoff.
EA Sports and the United States Golf Association are proud to present a national championship. Today, it's live third-round coverage of the U.S. Open Championship. Can't ask for much more here at the 7th. He has hit a good one. Second shot here at the par 4 7th. Seems to like it. Headed for the fat part of the green. And it generates some momentum here at the 7th hole. This for birdie. Now this for birdie came away with par in the previous round.
Frank, we haven't seen a whole lot of that, but no doubt it feels good. U.S. Opens, Frank, as you well know, you've played in so many of them, are supposed to be demanding and tough. This is what a U.S. Open's all about. A par 3 at nearly 300 yards. That's the 8th at Oakmont.
It's not just the length too, but this is a typical Oakmont green, which means it's not easy. There is an option though, if you can't reach this green, or at least fly it on, you might get a lucky bounce to kick forward. You'll see a lot of people chipping from around the front edge of this green, and there's no shame in that.
Not quite what he was hoping for, the tee shot in the bunker. Now from the bunker.
Yeah, just a little splash out on this par 3.
This looks to be at least an extra club, maybe 2 clubs going way up that hill to the green. Frank, if you win a U.S. Open, it says plainly you were one of the tough guys, that you had, as they say, the intestinal fortitude to handle the most difficult golf courses under the most extreme pressure.
Yeah, and I think that really does define certainly a multiple U.S. Open champion, because you can do anything once, but I think the Hale Irwins of the world, whose all his majors were U.S. Opens, even Lee Jansen, who won 2 U.S. Opens, they're gritty. Trevino's the same. I remember in the playoff with Jack Nicklaus at Miriam when he threw the rubber snake down there, and you thought, well, why would you dare do that to one of the great players of all time? And anything to get a slight edge, because you knew the golf course itself was going to beat you up. It was going to take every ounce of your golfing acumen to get around there. So you needed any edge you could against the great players that you're playing against.
Well, Frank, the par 5 12th here at Oakmont, it's a lot of golf hole. It's 667 yards.
It's the hardest par 5 I've ever seen or played that doesn't have water. It starts with that tee shot. The whole fairway slopes left to right. Just to get the ball on the fairway, you've got to draw the ball against the slope. The same problem exists with the second and the third shot. This has exploded off the club face.
And from the fairway for his second shot here.
Mr. Ball does not meet Mr. Fairway. It's off, rough.
Set to go. Not an easy shot by any means. Try up next. Bogey here yesterday, chance to better that today. Well, very impressive and on the move right now. All right, Frank, at the par 3 13th at 183 yards, what do you see here?
Well, there's a lot of things to consider, but the general slope of this green really makes you either hit to a specific section on the green or just try and keep the ball below the hole. It's always easy to putt uphill on fast greens.
He's making the game look very simple right now. See it, hit it, and he's got it right on track.
Shouldn't be a problem here, but not a formality either.
Nice birdie, and no doubt he's feeling pretty good about his position on this leaderboard.
A series of good holes in a row has got him to this point. That's an absolute beauty.
Let's see what happens now with this second shot to the short par 4 14. Seems to like it. Looks like it's headed for the green. Midway through this back nine, could use this birdie here at the 14th. Birdie putt coming up. A par on this hole yesterday. Man,
I just pushed it.
Boy, that hurts. Trying to grind out a par here. Needs it. Par here's fine, isn't it, Frank?
All teed up at the 15th. It's a par 4 of 499 yards. What a test here, Frank.
It certainly is. The tee shot here is a little bit like the par 5 12th, where the fairway slopes quite severely from left to right. It means the pews there on the left side are actually not a bad place to aim at. You just have to allow for that kick and roll towards the right.
Frank, you were a big part of the 1994 U.S. Open. I know how much that stung. You were really close right down the stretch with Lauren Roberts and Colin Montgomery and ultimately the champion Ernie Els. That U.S. Open's remembered for the farewell from maybe the most popular player in the history of the sport, Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, Arnold Palmer went back to his roots. He grew up, we know the story of his father was a teaching professional, Deacon Palmer. Gave him one of the greatest grips in the game. If ever you get a chance to talk to Arnold Palmer, he'll give you the best 5-minute lesson on a golf grip you'll ever hear. So it was suiting really for a great champion like that to finish in his backyard or the nearest thing, which was Oakmont. And that was in 1994. And he didn't make the cut after 36 holes. But he received the ovation that any champion would dine out on as he walked up that 18th hole on Friday. And then went into the media center and did what only Arnold Palmer could do. He told the truth about his life, what the game meant to him and everybody that had followed him, what they also meant to him, as well as the people in the media center. And there wasn't a dry eye between Arnold Palmer and the media that adorned that day. The king was in his court.
Bittersweet for Arnold Palmer to have said goodbye in Western Pennsylvania. He grew up in nearby Latrobe. He so desperately wanted to win a U.S. Open at Oakmont, and he came close and didn't putt very well. And a young guy with the massive thighs and that distinctive brush cut by the name of Jack Nicklaus took one in 1962 in a playoff. And then finally he says, so long, goodbye, his final U.S. Open. And this is unusual. The press very rarely will clap for someone after they've done the press conference. When Arnold finished in 1994, and he was in tears, the press rose and gave him a standing ovation. He's known as the king, but I always like to say I think he's the best friend the game has ever had.
Just an amazing display. The records continue to fall.
Frank, this is a point in the round where you really need to summon your best stuff. Par 3 of 231 yards. You know the pressure's building. We're at the 16th hole, and you have a long iron in hand. You can't flinch. You can't take it halfway back and go. This has to be the complete swing, and you have to really have the nerve on this shot.
Yeah, this shot has to be hitting right out of the button, that's for sure. One thing to consider, though, in the back of your mind, it's always better putting back uphill. Well, uphill is actually from the back of the screen. So you actually can be a little braver on 16 than what you might think standing on that tee, because a little long is better than a little short.
Looks like he just misread that. Standing over this putt, concentrating on the read.
Oh, another one goes in.
Coming down to the wire here at the U.S. Open Championship at fabled Oakmont, and the tension's starting to build. And Frank, this is decision time at this very short 313-yard par 4.
And normally in a U.S. Open, Rich, you'd think the prudent play would be lay it up, but I kind of like driver here today. I think the worst you're going to do is just miss the green or hit it one of those pop bunkers. You perhaps could drive it on the green, be putting for eagle, but even out of one of those bunkers, you've got to think you're even money to get it up and down. I like driver here.
Paying attention like a little kid at school, Frank. That baby's sitting up.
Sitting up. It's got the best view as well. You don't even need binoculars from where that ball is.
Wow, Frank, he is dialed in.
Yeah, that was just some shot on that. Easy birdie.
Just 5 feet left. Frank, this is a player in full flight right now.
It looks too easy right now.
Frank, you know this as well as anyone, having competed in and contended in U.S. Open championships. An 18th hole at a U.S. Open is supposed to be tough. A par is supposed to be hard won. This has all the elements of a great finishing hole, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if you could use the word fair, but you would say it's a just finishing hole. It's right, because it extracts the best you'd ever want to see out of a champion. Someone that can basically stand on that tee, gather their thoughts together, thump something down the fairway, then come up with a second shot that's nearly as challenging as the tee shot, and then somehow two-putt. You do all that with the lead, you deserve to pick up the US Open trophy.
Great way to finish off the final approach shot with a birdie opportunity to win the U.S. Open.
Well, you could see he thought he had that.
It looked in the whole way until the end.
You couldn't ask for much more than that, except to make it. That's a nice confidence builder right there. You make those for par, and you keep things steady.